concerned, but you quiet a bit. And I tell my true self to say, yeah, I'm enough. I don't need to know everything. No one can possibly know every single topic. Why don't I just enjoy the conversation, learn something from the priest, and then just listen, right? And after that, I started to calm down. I was no longer upset, no longer agitated, and I could really come back into the conversation, happy, contented, right? And so I'm like, wow. I told the therapist after that, hey, it works, you know? And it felt so free, it felt so joyful, it felt so at peace, and it wasn't something that nothing outside of me changed. The priest was who he is, the environment did not change. What really changed was within me. I was learning to pay attention not to my false self, but to my true inner self. Right? And that's really the beauty of discovering who I am really. And from that day on, right, coming back to Singapore even, I find that I now no longer rely on people's opinions of me. Right? I can be free, I can be joyful. I don't know if some of you follow my Facebook, some of the comments, some people have been staying at me or right, very heartbreaking. Right? But I've learned not to judge them or blame them, right? Because sometimes they do not know what they're saying or doing. Jesus said that prayer also, right? But I realize I'm not responsible for how they act, what they speak. The only person I'm responsible for is myself. Right? To take care of my inner child. Right? To pay attention whenever my inner child reacts because my false self operates from a thinking of scarcity, a thinking of I'm not good enough. I have to learn to tell my false self, no, that's not true. Right? So go back to your kid and tell the inner child to come and say, okay, I'm enough, I'm good enough, I'm contented. Right? And that really set me free. So nowadays, whenever I spend my holy hour, normally I want to walk with Jesus, right? But another way I now learn to reconcile with my inner self, my true self. I want to start to love him more, start to acknowledge him more, start to pay more attention. I'll bring him out with my walks with Jesus. So Jesus one side, my little child on my other side, and then we just have time, right? And I think it's a way to reconnect back with who I am truly inside. And I tell you, this is the beauty. And this is, St. Augustine says, how can you draw close to God when you are far from your own self? Right? My SD also once told me, sometimes I'm so busy running after God, trying to chase Him in prayer. I'm so busy running after serving people, getting involved in ministry. But the real person I'm running away from is myself. Because I can't bear to face the false self that I think of myself, the negativity that I think that's all I am. So in order to avoid seeing the ugliness that I actually place on myself, whether because of what others say or what I say of myself, I cannot take it. I keep running to God, running to ministry. As Augustine says, how can you really find God if you run so far away from yourself? Because if we are made in the image and likeness of God, to see our true self is to see God. Right? But why do we not see God in ourselves? Or why is it so hard to see God in others? Because we see ourselves based on our false self. Right? We can tell 100 times, I am the beloved child of God, God loves me. But so long as deep down inside you live by your false self, with all your negative self-criticisms, you will not be able to see God truly deep down inside. Because you are blocked by all these criticisms, all these labels, all this, and you need to get rid of that and finally see who you truly are, and then realize who God is. Because your true self, your inner child, was created by God. And this is the other thing I discovered. The more I reconnected with my inner self, right, the more I spent time, I listened, I realized that all these years that I've neglected my inner child, my true self, while I have not loved him as much as he wanted to be loved, who really loved him, continued to love him? God. That my inner child, my true self, knows exactly what it means to be loved by God. Because God never left my true self. Even though I, as an adult self, I said, no, you shut up, you go to your cave. God stayed with him. And God continued to love my inner child. once I reconnected my inner child can tell me, hey, Jesus actually very loving, you know. Jesus very forgiving. Why are you so hard on yourself? You make this sin, you keep thinking Jesus run away from you. No, because I've experienced it. Inner child will tell you this. God is so loving, God is so merciful. All this that we don't believe, no matter how many times the Bible says God is merciful. Every time we fall into sin, every time we make a mistake, then we get guilty, we get shame. And God is like, I never even say all this to you. Who are you listening to? Why are you listening to your own voices? Why are you listening to what other people say? Why do you not listen to what I'm trying to say? Right? So while our false self keeps operating on these falsehoods, our inner self, our true self, has been receiving the truths of God, being loved for who He is. That once I could connect back with my inner self and my true self, I now learn to live according to how my inner child has always been living. To know that I'm accepted as I am, I'm loved as I am. I don't need to do anything, not even in spiritual life. I don't need to earn my salvation. I don't need to do things so that God can love me. No, that's not biblical at all. That's not theological at all. I've loved you for who you are, not for what you do or don't do. Right? But it's nice, it's very easy to believe in the head, right? We all know the theory. God loves me for who I am, God, no? But we don't believe it here. So every time we live guilt-driven, fear-driven, right? There's no freedom, right? Whereas the inner child is saying, I want to be free, get me out. I want to be able to enjoy my Father's love as I am without having to earn His love, because God's love is not to be earned. Right? So that's the beauty. The more I could connect that inner self, it just set me free to a whole new awareness of what the truth of God is. And I start to live my life really based on how God wants to love me, not based on what I think God wants to love me, or how God wants to love me. And that's really the whole difference between living according to your false self and living according to your true self. So some psychological thing, right? Because the therapists have shared a lot of videos. So I want to share this with you because it's so beautiful, and because even the psychologist that shared this with us, he's a theologian also, right? And so he mentioned this, that holiness, right? We all talk about, you want to call it holiness? You want to be holy? What does it take to be holy? What have people said is the path to holiness? Self-sacrifice. What else? Following God's will. No one say must have daily mass, daily rosary, kneel at the altar for 1 hour. Anyone not gonna say that? Anyone thinks, he believes even that's the way to holiness. Right? So this theologian and psychiatrist said, holiness is wholeness. To be whole in heart, head, and body. That God created us not just spiritual, but human. We are human and divine. Right? But if you only focus on the divine part, when we neglect the human part, how can we be holy then if we are disjointed? Right? And this is the beauty of why Jesus came out onto earth. Why He was fully God and fully man. He came to teach us how to be holy by being integrated between our spiritual and our human, head, heart, and mind, and body. Right? The minute we neglect one aspect, we actually fall short of holiness. Right? And so sin is not just, we say miss the mark or being away from God. But I like to realize, or I've discovered that sin is actually simply a symptom of our dysfunction. Because as long as I live my life based on a false self, how I see things, how I act, will be based on how I think and believe of myself. If I think I need to achieve, I will get out there and do things that I need to achieve. Right? If I think that I can only be happy if I grab things, I will keep living my life based on grabbing. Sin is simply about living a life based on our false self And it's not the act alone that's actually the real problem. The acts of sin are simply symptoms of a deeper wound. Sin actually reminds us that we are living based on our false self. Right? I mean, I dare share with you even the struggle for last night, pornography for myself. For all these years, I kept thinking, yeah, I'm not disciplined enough, I'm not strong, my will not strong enough, my urge every time I fail to resist. I realized that is not the real problem. The only reason why I turn to all these empty wells is because deep down inside, my false self never felt deeply loved by myself. And whenever I feel lonely, whenever I don't feel loved, I chase after what's outside instead of being loving myself inside. And so when I don't love myself inside, the false self keeps getting drawn to external sources of love, which is disordinate. But if I slowly, as I heal and I start to live by my true self, I'm good enough. I learn to love myself. I say good night to my little self. I say I love you before I sleep. The more my inner self gets love, receives love from me, it doesn't need to chase after external sources of love. And then the sin naturally dissolves, because there's no longer a need to sin, because I've taken care of my true self, because I'm whole, I'm integrated, not perfect of course, but getting there. Yeah. So I think this is really what I really experience is how the spiritual and the human really come together, right? And why Jesus is such a model for us, because he had feelings, he had struggles, right? But he showed us how to be human, but also how to be spiritual. I think that's important for us. So the universal problem that we all struggle with is that we always have a wrong belief or a wrong perception of ourselves that is based on a false self. And wrong thinking, wrong belief, wrong perception leads to wrong choosing. If I think I need achievements, I will choose things to do to get my achievement. If I think I'm not loved, I will choose things to do, right? But if I'm loved, then I don't need to choose things that grab love. Right? If I'm contented, I don't need to choose to seek affirmation, I don't need to choose to something. But what's our struggle is that whenever we believe in this false self, whenever we believe in our nicknames, whenever we believe in the labels we place on ourselves, we start to operate and live life according to a false belief, according to a false self. So our actions become unfree. We are no longer free to be who we truly are, because it's operating based on a false self. And not only that, we become so busy trying to cover up these inadequacies. So busy, I must show that I'm good, so I hide my inadequacy. So busy doing all the external things, but we fail to connect with our inner self. So we neglect the inner child even more. Right? We dare not, we hide our inner self, right? And we dare not allow him to really come out. And the other thing that is also actually another struggle is that why our hidden self, our true self is also hidden, it's because of expectations by society and our family. Right? There are many kids, because of the environment, their true self doesn't feel like they can come out because they don't feel accepted. Shame is a very big thing. Right? Whenever our parents, we feel like, if I do something wrong, or the scolding, so I feel a lot of shame. So I would tell my true self, you just shut up, okay? The false self is one who, so there are some kids who, in order to appease parents, be totally goody good, everything do homework, that kind of thing, right? But deep down inside, feel stifled. Right? Why can't I cry? Stop crying, you're there, that kind of thing. And I have to suck it in. Or some kids, the other opposite, right? They will create trouble. You see all these rebellious kids, why? Because parents keep fighting. They think, okay, if I become naughty, my parents will stop fighting, and they turn their attention to me. Right? So we create a lot of this false self also to cope with the traumas around us. cope with the difficulties. Right? So it's not entirely our fault, because in order to deal with the traumas, naturally our body creates false selves in order to, as a self-defense mechanism. We enter into the world trying to protect ourselves by doing all this. But what we're really doing is that we're harming our inner self. So that's the reality that we all face. And I never knew this until very recently. I'm 37. So it's a tough journey, right? But while this is a universal problem, all of us face it. And that's why I also don't blame my parents. And the therapist says also it's not a blame game. Because our parents also were brought up according to false beliefs and false self. Right? How they were parented, they took the brokenness from the parents and then pass it on. Right? And as long as we don't know how to reconnect with our true self and keep operating for our false self, we will keep carrying this falseness into each other's lives. Because we keep choosing based on what's false. Right? So while this is a universal problem, the universal task, the universal goal for all of us is to start reconnecting back with our inner self. To start discovering who did God truly make us to be. Right? And it's not as simple as thinking to myself, I am a beloved child of God. God loves me as I am. This is a thinking thing. But it goes much deeper in the heart. Because what we really need to translate this truth from a head level to the heart level. And the only way we can reach from the head to the heart is to reconnect with our deeper self within the heart. Right? Which is also not the easiest place to be. And that's why many of us run away from this. Ask you about your feelings, ask you, go back to your childhood, sorry, run away. Go into theology, go into spiritual, go into religiosity. Because the human part of us is so difficult to face. Easier to run to the church. I'm doing church work. I'm praying rosary. Wow, God should love me. I should go to heaven. But all this is just an escapism from who God wants us to really get in touch with. Right? It's our true self. So at the end of the day is to seek that awareness of what's really going on inside. Where inside of me am I operating from falsehood? Where inside of me is my true self trying to call out to us and say, hey, this is who I really am. Hey, this is how God really wants to love you. Right? The more we pay attention to what's inside our hearts, the more we pay attention to what our inner child is trying to say, the truths come up from within here, not from here. Right? Because it's easy to hold truths here, but so much more difficult to live the truths here. We need the inner child, we need the true self to show us how these truths is meant to be lived up in our daily realities. Okay? So that once we can allow the inner child to come out, that's where we can embody the true image and likeness of God as we were created to be. That's how we can embody true holiness, right? Which our true selves has already been living up deep down inside. So I'm not sure how much this you understand. Is it too much? Or does it resonate? But we don't talk about this a lot. So I'm just, and I can't, and we are not going to be able to help you out discover who's a false self in just one night. Right? So that's not, I'm not a therapist here for you. But I think my purpose of trying to share all this with you is to help you realize that firstly, I think for myself, I never could understand why I do the things I do, even though I know it's wrong. You ever get that? Same time go for confession, Father, I'm still this. The next thing you still commit it. Then you keep thinking, is it I don't try hard enough or nothing? And then someone priest guilt trip us, right? Say, you never go to mass enough, is it? Or you never go to this? Yeah, but that is only one aspect of us. The real work is the inner self, right? So, but I would like to believe once you are aware, once you are willing and open to go deeper inside, and you pray for this grace, you pray for the courage, you pray for the openness, you pray for that awareness, your inner child will start to come out. So our inner child is like this kite in a cave, right? Because all these years you'll be like, shut up, get in there, stop coming up, So okay lah, kite. But once you can say, okay, sorry, all these years I neglected you. I'm ready for you, come. Right? But you're supposed to be gentle with yourself. And I say, get out now, hurry, I want you to come. Bite your head off. So, I think what really helped me come to know my inner self is that the psychologist really just helped me to say, just be open, just stay with that feeling. So I think one suggestion I can give you is whenever you feel agitated, whenever you experience a trigger, or whenever you sin, don't just look at the act. Don't just accuse yourself and criticize yourself. I see you go and do this again. I see you do that. No. Because that's only a symptom. Stop at that moment and be present. Okay, what's going on here? So you ask yourself, you try to go deeper inside. Okay, why did I lash out at that person? Why did I suddenly show temper? Why did I go to that addiction? And you just be present. And you just slowly give space to your inner child to start to talk to you. It may not happen overnight, right? But just keep practicing it. Because the more you open your heart, the more you're desiring to listen to your inner self and your true self. Slowly you'll be like this calm, you sure? You sure you ready? You sure you won't hit me? You sure you won't scold me? Okay, then slowly come up. Okay, this is what I want to tell you all this while, then slowly you'll try to tell you. Right? So I would say it's still grace, and even my therapist said to me, all this work is not psychological work. All this work is a work of grace. The Spirit is moving. The Spirit knows when's the right time to reveal not only truths about God, but truths about yourself. Right? And it's the Spirit who will heal. The Spirit who knows what's needed to come out, what's needed to be addressed, to be faced, to be acknowledged. And then He is the one working the healing, not us. All we need is to pay attention. Right? I like this analogy where, a crying baby, right? The more you say, shut up, stop crying, you think you'll keep quiet, even more, right? And that's what we do to our poor selves. We keep criticizing, we keep giving harsh. It's not helping him keep quiet, it's hurting him even more. But all we need to do is, you're crying, okay, we pick the child up. Why are you crying? Okay, it's sayang. And listen, are you hungry? Just pay attention. And the more you pay attention to that child, and the more the child feels tended to you, he will start to stop crying. He'll calm down. Maybe after one pause. And I haven't experienced this for myself. Whenever I got triggered by someone, I felt my inner child. But I had to okay, I pick him up. Okay, let's hear what's going on. Okay, I felt compared again. I felt calming down. Then I said, okay, don't worry, you're good enough, don't worry. And then after a while, the more I tend to him, he quiet down. Then after that feeling of agitation just disappeared. And what came in was peace, what came in was contentment, right? What came in was joy. The person never changed. He didn't say, yeah, sorry, he did. Right? I'm still hurt, I'm still angry. I have to acknowledge my feelings. I no longer let that feeling attack me. I can go back to my truth of my inner self and say, I'm enough, I'm good enough, I don't need that person's approval. But now I calm my inner self and say, okay, don't worry, you can do it. And I walk away feeling free, joyful. So that's the gift that we can give to ourselves, right? And I would say, be patient, really work with the Spirit, and just be open, right? And, but start to realize that there is this deeper self inside. So I'm not going to talk anymore, because words itself will not mean much. So I'm going to listen to this song, okay? And it really speaks what I've been talking about. Okay. So I invite you to maybe just close your eyes now. Okay. And just maybe even acknowledge your inner child deep down inside, your true self that has been hidden for all these years, that's been neglected, that's been so wounded. Maybe start to spend this time with Him, because Jesus Himself has been spending time with Him all these years. Maybe it's time for us to stop running away from our true selves, stop escaping, just be present to Him or her. Let's take this time to honor His presence in our life, or our life. Time to acknowledge that we have a true self that is made in the image and likeness of God. We want to be able to reconnect back with him or her. We want to start to believe in the truths of our true identity, of who God says we are, and not based on what others say we are, and even not based on what we say of ourselves. Just remain your eyes closed. Just pay attention to how you're feeling now after hearing this song. What spoke to you through this song? What line or what thought came in as you heard this song? And what's going on deep down inside? So inner child saying something to you, or are you discovering something deep within? Just pay attention to what's going on inside. Open your eyes. What struck you about the song? How did it speak to you? Or any line struck her?
I think the lyrics stood out for me is the, I don't know whether because it was repeated a lot of times, but it was I believe. So I don't have enough time to maybe delve into like why this strikes me. So maybe I'm going to take home and unpack it. But I want to guess, so I'll go back and unpack it.
First thoughts, first feelings, just to get a sense.
For me, I am actually confused because, like when the lyric of the song says you say I'm strong when I am weak. Actually, I feel the natural self actually tells me the other way around. Like I see, like actually she looks very crumpled, and she actually saying that. Thank you. Actually, I am not that strong right now, but I think, like, basically, I think my true self saying that you shut up, you have to be strong, you know. And actually, there's part of you who is not that strong, actually. So, if the body actually is like, for me, it's just like, that the lyric actually tells me the other way around, saying that actually right now, well, you have to acknowledge that like there is a part of you who is weak and who is very fragile, and I think she just wants me to be weak, you know, the weakness. She just wants to be loved further. Yeah, that's what I have. That's the message that I feel.
The true self that you're talking about, it's what's your inner self saying to you right now?
Yeah, it's to the feelings. But I mean, to be honest, I do not know whether it's a false self that's telling me that or it's my true self. But what I mean is like, I think the true self is crying out loud saying that, can you please stop torturing me? And it's something that I need to pack also, like, then don't think about it. Yeah.
What else?
Okay, the first few lines, but I forgot the exact words. Sorry. But maybe I will want to listen to that again at home. Yeah, but actually the same thing as what Ben experienced because the I believe keep repeating. That's the thing that really stuck in me. But when I just now, if let's say I'm allowed to sing it, when I sing it, I believe I know that I will somehow it will stuck in the mouth lah. Maybe it's not really go into deep inside. Yeah. So I think that's the take home for me. Really to go to the heart.
This song is about someone who has listened to all the voices, right, for so long, right? And she's trying to say, I mean, especially the chorus, right? I feel weak. I feel not good enough. I feel this. But you are saying something very different from how I'm feeling, and I want to believe that, right? So I think sometimes, okay, for me, okay, so the analogy, the false self, true self. Sometimes our false self sounds very true, right? Right? Because we can't figure out, because we've normalized our false self so much that we think our false self is the true self. We think that's who we are. Right? That's why it's so hard to figure out, are you sure this is not me? Are you sure there's a deeper self that, are you sure there's a strongest part of me that, but I don't feel that way? Are you sure there's a part of me that can be loved for who he or she is, but I don't feel that way? And that's why it's so hard, because our true self is so foreign to us all these years, because we're so separated from him or her, right? And so how we feel right now can be very much distorted by the false self, which feels true, right? But this song for me is about saying, okay, I want to believe that there is a truer self inside of me. The way God sees me, the way God says, this is you, this is who you are. Stop listening to what others are saying, stop listening to what you are saying. Start to listen to what I am trying to tell you who you are. Right? And let that little child come out. And I think it's an invitation for us to say, what will it feel like for you to be able to live based on your true self? Instead of all these years you've been living on your false self. It's just like, you're so used to your nicknames, right? But you're really not happy with it. Then why do you keep accepting people calling you those nicknames? Right? It's like living according to your false self. All these years that you think, okay lah, this is me lah, this is enough. But deep down you know that can't be it. How can it be that that's all there is to me? Because I'm not feeling fully secure. There's restlessness, right? There's incompleteness, there's lack of wholeness. That's why we're not holy. There's something missing, there's something distorted. Right? So, I want to. Okay, are you up for a challenge? and take this as a time of prayer.